What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are doing the 2025 year in review. Very excited. I love making these videos, and we're gonna fucking be here a while. So how I want to do this today is a little bit different than we did last year. I want the first portion of this to be about the channel, wins, losses that I had, statistics and things like that. So we're gonna go through all of that at the beginning of this episode, and then the second half will be just like we did last year, where we rank every game on a tier list that we beat this year and have some fun talking about some video games. So, that being said, if you don't want to see the channel analytic portion, totally understandable. I will leave timestamps in the description or on the scroll bar of the video. You can just skip right over that and go to the games portion if you'd like to. But if you're going to be here for the entirety of the video, I would imagine this is going to be a fucking long one. So, grab yourself a drink and let's go ahead and dive in and kick off 2026 right with a good old recap of last year. Let's do it. All right, guys, if you're still here, then I take it you're down for the entirety of the video, which I appreciate. But if you ever get bored of me talking numbers, feel free to click on the timestamp below to head over to the games conversation. But I want to take some time to talk about the channel, talk about my wins and losses, and talk about you guys ultimately. So that's what we're going to do here. First thing we have pulled up is the channel growth over the lifetime of the channel. And I have this pulled back to when I created the channel in 2010 because I think it's relevant. So during this period from 2010 to 2023, you will see a lot of stagnant growth here. During this period of time, I was randomly uploading YouTube videos at a very inconsistent rate, primarily focused on live streaming and uploading live streaming clips to this channel, and it didn't move the needle at all, which is expected. It shouldn't. And then I started taking YouTube seriously in 2023 with a couple uploads, and then primarily in 2024. But I wanted to show this because I wanted to show that there is some inactive subscribers on this channel that have carried over for a decade. 12 years at this point, to be honest, and those aren't necessarily subscribers that I think of when I look at my actual analytics. So I just wanted to show that off. Let's go ahead and reduce this search query down to the last 2 years. This is more representative of our channel growth for you. So, interesting trends here. As you can see, a massive spike at the beginning of every year, which is really interesting. It doesn't feel like that when I'm making videos, but it's interesting to look at this. But we started 2024 with 79 subscribers, ended with 175. So about 100 subs that year, which is pretty impressive. And then, of course, this year, recording this video on January 1st, we are at 308 total subscribers. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your guys' support through the year. I am very aware that this channel is hard to follow, hard to subscribe to, because I'm constantly bouncing around and starting series, dropping series, playing at whatever the hell I want to. There's almost no format here, and it's hard to follow a creator that does that. So going out of your way to subscribe to this show means the world to me, and I understand that you're getting a plethora of content you probably do not care about. But that's just how I want my channel to be. I just want it to be a log of my gaming life, and so that's what it is. I like everything, so it's going to be a mix of everything. I'm not necessarily targeting one niche audience or one core group. It's just fucking whatever I want to do and whatever I want to make, and that's where we're at. So the fact that I did get over 100 subscribers this year, 125, means the world to me. You guys are going out of your way to just subscribe to a channel that makes no sense, and that is not lost on me. So I appreciate that, and I hope that I can continue to give you quality content in the future. Even if you're not even sure what the hell I'm playing, that's ultimately my main goal. And so I just wanted to take this time to thank all of you for all of that support, whether you subscribed last year or this year. Hope to continue to grow the channel. I have no intentions of going anywhere. I absolutely love making YouTube videos. I love creating content and uploading it and talking to you guys in the comments. 2 years later, still absolutely love it, and have no intentions of stopping. All right, guys, so here's a little breakdown, a little bit more detail from what we just talked about. This shows you my views for the year, 43,700, almost 43,700, I should say, which is incredible. Very happy with that. Watch time is down, which is okay. I uploaded a lot more shorts this year, so that's going to obviously affect that. But our subscriber count is up 133 over the last 365-day period, which is incredible. So thank you so much for that. Again, I've already thanked you profusely, and I'm going to probably continue to do that during this analytical recap. As far as our top content for this period, this is actually not relevant because this is from last year, technically, right at the end of last year. But this is my most viewed video on the channel with 3,008 views. This video was released this year. This is the best video game song of all time. Un Vaatamia. Probably butchered it again, but this was a very good video, well-performing video, because I was talking about Expedition 33, which is a hot topic still to this day. Burning hot. And I was talking about probably the best song in the game. And so this video did very well for me. So happy with that. But again, it was a one-off video, right? Experimental video, nothing crazy. Doesn't really match any of the other content on my channel. So anybody that subscribed from this video is getting bombarded with random content from me. And that explains in great detail why my channel is not very successful. Even though it is successful, it's trending upwards. But, you know, that's just a definition of why it hasn't grown more, in my opinion. Very hard to follow. The rest of this is just shorts. We can break this down a little bit further. A lot of shorts. Like I said, shorts get views, shorts drive traffic. Shorts are what you should use to drive traffic to your channel. So that all works good. The next video that did well this year was the Diablo After the Credits. That was this year. That video did well, I think, for a decent... I mean, it makes sense why it did well, right? Diablo's a big series. Not a lot of people have played the original Diablo, and I played it in 2025. So, good theory, good concept for that video, and it performed relatively well. So happy with that. Got a lot of good comments on that video, and people seem to enjoy that one. So very happy there. More shorts, Soulstone Survivors. This episode did very well, probably due to the title being Wild Wizardry Gone Wild. But again, that one did very well as well. And then a fucking bunch of shorts again. God of War Ragnarok review did decent this year, and all that stuff. We're not going to go through every single video that we've done this year. That would be retarded. But we will just go into the content. If I can get out of this. This is the kind of the content breakdown, which is not updating. Let me refresh this son of a bitch. Wow. Just completely busted right now. Cool. Let's just ignore that, I suppose. But as you can see, all my views come from shorts. 16,000 from videos, which is actually decent. I'm happy with that. And, yeah. So if we go to the content page, this doesn't have any fun graphs or anything, but we can kind of talk about my philosophy from the start of the year. Bowie, come on. Can I not do more? So we started the year off here. January 1st. Vampire Survivors After the Credits. So I guess that's going to be something we talk about a little bit later on in the video. Slide 2, Dante's Inferno. We just started the year with fucking 4 straight After the Credits videos. And as you can see from the views, 144, 34, 34, 53, 26. That's pretty standard for my After the Credits reviews. They do not pull numbers, which is fine, but that's not why I make those videos. I make those for fun, and like I said, they're great practice. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. A little bit shorter than I thought it would be. We'll fucking take it. But again, thank you all so much for all the love and support on the channel. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for everything. And let's go ahead and jump over to the fun part of the video. Let's talk about some fucking video games, dudes. It's finally that time. We are at the point of the video where we're going to dive into the tier list to rank all of the games that I beat in 2025. Very daunting. And if you're wondering why this video took so long to come out, let's just put it this way. The first year we did this, we beat 13 games. This year, we beat 28 games. So I got to go back and find footage from all of these fucking games to throw them into this, which is going to be a fucking nightmare. But I'm doing it for you, the people. So let's just go ahead and get this started. I have these thumbnails placed in order, in the order that I beat them in. And we're going to go ahead and just dive right in and start talking about them. So, all right, so the first game we beat this year was Sly 2 Band of Thieves. We rolled right into Sly 2 Band of Thieves after beating Sly and the Thievius Raccoonus, the first game at the end of 2024. So we rolled right in and kept on going with Sly. Sly 2 is a much more substantial game than the original game. It is much longer, and I think it suffers for that. They did increase the mechanics. They made the world a little bit more enjoyable to run around in. But you go from Sly 1, which was a 7 to 8 hour experience, to Sly 2, that is a 20 to 30 hour gauntlet. And I just am not the biggest fan of this game's gameplay loop, to be quite fair. It's nothing criminal. It's very stock standard mascot platformer from this era. But I don't see it as a game that does anything above and beyond or anything that captivated me. And to be quite honest, I was dragging ass trying to get this game done and wasn't really enjoying it very much at all. So that being said, Sly 2 is going to slot in the C tier. The C tier for me and my rating scale is a 5 out of 10 game. Don't love it, don't hate it, just kind of complete apathy for it. Just right in the middle. Not a game I think about whatsoever. I haven't thought about Sly 2 one time throughout the remainder of this year after I got it off my plate, so that is a perfectly good spot for Sly 2. After Sly 2, we moved on to Dante's Inferno. This is actually a game that I played as a kid and really remember enjoying it, but I don't think I ever rolled credits on it as a kid. I think I just kind of played it willy-nilly here and there, didn't really pay attention to it much, but just kind of enjoyed the gameplay. So it was a fun experience to go back as an adult and actually roll credits on this game. I think it's a very competent hack and slash game, and I absolutely adore the game's setting, taking place in the 7 layers of hell from Christian mythology, I guess you would say. It's a really cool take. It takes the God of War formula, throws it into the Christian world, and it makes for a really cool setting. This game is certainly not perfect, though. Plenty of repetitive enemy designs throughout the experience. Game is relatively short. But I do have to increase the game's score for the demon, the final boss of the game, having the biggest cock in video game history. I am not exaggerating. I don't think I can even put it on YouTube. He's just got a slong the size of a tree. It is absolutely ridiculous that they put that in the game, but all jokes aside, I think it's a very solid, very competent hack and slash. Doesn't overstay its welcome, which, as someone that likes to play a lot of games, I tend to appreciate. Remember it being around 7-8 hours probably for a full playthrough of this game. And honestly, I really loved it. So that's pretty much all we have to say about Dante's Inferno. I am going to go ahead and stick it in the B tier. I can see this as a game I would go back and play through again, unlike Sly 2. So B tier is the 6 to 7 tier, and no, I'm not fucking doing the meme. I'm too old for that. 6, 7, yes, I am doing it. But B is the 6 to 7 tier, and that's where it's going to go, probably on the 7 side. But not quite good enough to slip into the A tier, but I think it's a fun playthrough, and I think if you can find it for PS3 or Xbox 360, I don't think it's a waste of money at all. So definitely check it out if you're interested in hack and slash games. Moving on from Dante's Inferno, we stayed with a much darker theme, and we moved on to Cult of the Lamb. Dark themes, but goddamn cute game, I tell you what. Cult of the Lamb is fucking awesome. I think this game slaps fucking hard. I think it's truly a very unique concept. You have the half of the game that takes place in the dungeons where you have very tight and solid combat, very reminiscent of Binding of Isaac's kind of combat style. and it works really, really well. It's got great animations, great style in the dungeon areas. And then after you do the dungeon, you are returned to your settlement, where you have to kind of have a little bit of a base building brain, because you're kind of trying to lay out your base, get as many cult members as possible, do all of these cultic rituals to increase your abilities, to make the dungeons easier, and to keep everybody's insanity meter at a certain level. There's a lot that goes into both aspects of the game, and they're both done incredibly well. There's not one part of the game that I preferred over the other. The balance, I thought, was absolutely perfect, and I genuinely enjoyed everything that I did throughout this playthrough. It had me hooked from start to finish all the way through. It was a lot of fun to stream as well, because I was able to name my cult members after the community members that were hanging out in the stream. Just an absolutely phenomenal game. I need to get back into this game because of all the new DLCs they've been adding. And they just announced a new one, I believe, at the Game Awards, so I'm fucking pumped. I'm very, very much excited to dive into more Cult of the Lamb in the future. With that being said, this is once again another step up. Cult of the Lamb is going to get an A for me, and it is on the 9 side. A is the 8 to 9 range, and this is going to be high 9. Okay, it's going to be on the higher end of A. S is going to be a lucrative tier. That's the way that it should be. S is 9.5 and 10. This game isn't quite there yet, but it's a fucking damn good game that I could recommend to nearly everybody. And to be honest, I have recommended it to a lot of people. I recommended it to my buddy Jason. I recommended it to my wife. Both of them played it. My wife played it more than my friend Jason, because my friend Jason don't listen to me. Doesn't stick with anything that I tell him to play. So, he's what he is. But either way, I fucking love Cult of the Lamb. If you haven't played it, you definitely should. Available on everything. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. Next up, we have Pure, the arcade racing game published by Disney Interactive Studios for the PS3 and Xbox 360. This is a game that I had as a kid that I enjoyed. So again, it was another nostalgia dip for me this year. And I stuck with the game until I rolled credits, which I did not do as a youngster. And this game gets fucking hard as fuck, like very early. Like, this game goes from baby mode easy cakes to brutally fucking challenging towards the end of the circuit series that you go through to complete the game. But that being said, I think the game is still a lot of fun. It's a very competent and fun arcade racing game that's very fun to pick up and play. Would have been a ton of fun to play online, but obviously that's not around anymore. But yeah, I thought it was fun. And again, I think this game's probably going to get a ratings boost, just because I distinctly remember playing this and passing the controller back and forth with my buddy Tyler when we were kids. And this game was always super dope, and the trick system was cool, and all of that fun stuff. It gets a little repetitive as an adult, I will admit, but nonetheless, it's a fun arcade racing game that, if you're looking for something a little different in that genre, I don't necessarily think Pure's a bad choice. So with that being said, I'm going to slot Pure in the B tier. I think it's a little bit above average in a lot of aspects. And even though it is incredibly difficult towards the latter half of the game, it's a good challenge. I like a good challenge. And again, it's probably getting a little nostalgia boost to slot in the B tier. Probably going to be on the 6 side of the B tier. Closer to a C, but again, I'm happy with that in B tier. After Pure, the FromSoft itch started to tickle. So I decided to tackle a game I've tried to beat for the last 4 or 5 years, and that is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Notoriously one of the most difficult From Software games of all time, and it is still, without a question, one of the most difficult games I have ever rolled credits on. That being said, the game is tight, fluid, fun, different. All of the above. Great boss fights, hard as fuck, especially the final boss fight and some of the other bosses throughout the game. There's distinctly a mid-game fight that is a bitch, like right in the middle of the game, and then the end boss is 4 stages. Ishin Ashina, one of the most memorable bosses in gaming history. Yeah, and it's brutal. It's brutally difficult, but it is fun to have this game in the From Software catalog because it is very different than Dark Souls. You're able to run around, jump around, use a grappling hook to move around the map, so you just feel a lot lighter, a lot more fluid. Of course, a lot of these systems were then brought back for Elden Ring, but at the time, this was very unique, and it had a very unique movement style. And ultimately, yeah, I think the game is very enjoyable from start to finish. Absurdly hard, though. Like, fucking way hard. So, it's a hard game to recommend. You really have to be up for a serious challenge for me to recommend this game. But I love FromSoft. I love this game. I think it's one of the best FromSoft has ever made. I'm going to give it an A. I think that's a great spot for it. Has the best final boss in gaming history, or at least one of the best final bosses in video game history. So it can't really be much lower than an A. I think that's a good spot for it. Very happy with it there. I can definitely see people having it higher than that. I don't think I can see anybody having it lower than that unless you just can't find the will to roll credits. But that's where it's going to go for me. You can clearly see from my next game this year that I needed something a little bit easier after Sekiro beat the piss out of me for over a month. And we went and moved on to the original Cat Quest. Game originally released on the PS4. Absolutely charming visual game where you're a little cat going around and killing all the dragons that have scattered across the world. And you have this top-down view of the cat, and it's just this beautiful landscape. And then you have your cat that's kind of running all over the map. And it's kind of like this weird zoomed out map. And, you know, it adds the feeling of scope, even though it's a relatively small game. And I think that everything in here is really, really fun. The combat works very well. I enjoyed the combat, was never bored of it. This game is not a game that's going to stick around and burn your time up. It doesn't overstay its welcome in the slightest. And it's just a cute, charming little romp with a lot of cat puns, and I am a cat lover, so this was right up my alley. And I absolutely love this game. Spoiler alert, I never got to any of the other Cat Quests this year, so I guess we'll try to do that in 2026. But I loved Cat Quest. I thought this game was incredibly charming, incredibly fun to play through. Would recommend it to everyone. It's very approachable for adults, kids, grandmas, grandpas, everybody. So I think it's a great game. That being said, I'm going to slot it in the A tier. Also a super easy platinum. If you're a platinum hunter, you've probably already played and beat the entire series, but easy platinum for those of you looking for that. Beautiful time, great time. Excited to dive into the rest of the games in the coming year. Next up here was my PS3 Holy Grail. The whole reason I bought a PS3 to begin with, and that was to play Blitz the League 2. So when I finally found this at the game store, every other game I was playing at the time got kicked to the fucking curb until I beat Blitz the League 2. It's another one of those games that falls in the nostalgia category for me. I had this as a kid, loved it as a kid, never actually completed the story exactly like all the other nostalgia games that are on the list so far. But I beat it as an adult, and I fucking love Blitz the League 2. It's a gritty, dark, bloody, nasty football game that just simply can't be made in today's day and age. But it is a blast from the past. It is absolutely incredible. It takes all the great aspects of Blitz, which is just a solid arcade football game to begin with, and adds a ton of blood and gore and vicious language, and it's just a fucking bloody ass fun time. And it's a game I continue to go back to and just play to this day for fun. Just pop it in, play a game or two. I will say the game's injury system, while very cool, is rather repetitive. See the same animations over and over and over and over again, and while they're very cool the first few times, it gets really old as they continue to pile up, and you continue to see the same collarbone get dislocated 50 times in a single match. So that fucking hurts it a little bit. But again, this is a game I love dearly. Had it as a kid, it's going to get an A again. This one is getting an A, admittedly with a nostalgia bump. Probably fits better in the B category, just because it is a football game. There's not much to it other than that. Even the career mode is basically just playing football games and getting girlfriends. There's not a lot of depth there. But I love this game. I can't hide from that. It's going in the A tier. I don't care what you say. After that, we picked up a long game, a project game. We had a couple quick games back to back with Cat Quest and Blizzard League 2, and we dove into Hogwarts Legacy. This is another game that's been on my backlog for years. Got it on PC, never played it. Got my PS5, bought it physical so that I could play it, because I had a physical copy staring me in the face, so I made sure I went back and played it. Never really was a big Harry Potter guy, but for some reason this game captivated me and caught my attention, so I figured I needed to play it, and I did not enjoy it. So I don't know. This is a very weird game to me. I feel like it's incredibly bloated. Yes, it's cool to explore Hogwarts. It's cool to be in that world, flying around in your broomstick. I think the broomstick controls fucking suck. I think the combat in this game is extremely clunky. You basically get all, I mean, obviously you're a wizard, so you're casting spells, and the way that they decided to make this work is if you hold a trigger, you go to a different page of skills. If you hold the bumper, it's a different page of skills. If you don't hold any trigger, it's a whole different page of skills. So you just have like 5 pages of different spells that you can cycle through, and no matter how I laid out my pages, it never felt good. The combat never felt good to me. I was always uncomfortable playing through the game, and it is a long game. And being uncomfortable for that long was tough. I gotta be honest. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this. I thought the story was rather good. To be honest, I enjoyed what they put in the story department. But gameplay is king for me, and this gameplay didn't work for me whatsoever. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the C tier. I think it's perfectly fine. Can definitely see people putting this higher if they're big Harry Potter nerds. But for me personally, didn't do anything out of the ordinary. As a matter of fact, I more disliked it than I liked it. Could honestly get a D from me, but I'm going to leave it in C for now. I think it's a good spot for it. Admittedly, the game is huge. There was a lot of work that went into it. That's enough to give it a bump into the C tier. I'm happy with that. Next up was Call of Juarez Cartel, and if you think I'm showing gameplay footage for this game, you're fucking wrong. This game is atrocious. This has to be the worst running video game I've ever fucking played. I played it on PS3, ran like fucking shit the entire time. Absolutely miserable. The story was not fucking good at all. It was ass. Terrible fucking game. This is a game you should never fucking play. Period. Nothing about it is redeeming. Game fucking sucks. Moving on. Next game on the list was Cuphead. This is a game I adore. Love it. One of the greatest art styles in gaming history. It's got an art style that is absolutely timeless. Cuphead will never look bad. It'll never be a game that'll look out of date. It'll always be a game you can go back to and enjoy. Yes, it's hard as hell. It is basically a Contra-like game is the best way that I can put it. You run along the screen, you have different bullets that you can use, and it's like one hit and you're dead type of situation. Very hard, but rewarding. Get a nice dopamine rush every time you kill a boss. And it's just a fucking solid ass difficult game. And I think it's a game that like I said, it's difficult, but it's a game if you put your mind to it, you can get through, regardless of skill level. It's not like Sekiro where you could literally get skill checked to death by the final boss and never, ever get past him. Cuphead's a little different. You can start to recognize patterns and things like that to make the game easier. It might just take you a little bit longer if you're not necessarily the most skilled at this type of game. But it is approachable, even though it's rather difficult. So yeah, I had a great time with Cuphead. I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And with that being said, it's going to go into the A tier as well for me. I think this is a very solid game. I loved my time with it. Left the game feeling satisfied and very happy. Can't really beat that. So, shout out Cuphead. Very fun game. All right, we are moving on to a big one here. Final Fantasy X. I avoided turn-based games like the fucking plague for a multitude of reasons throughout the majority of my life. Thought the combat was boring, didn't enjoy turn-based combat whatsoever, and these games are fucking too long. And I have ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD. I'm self-diagnosing myself with ADHD, and I get distracted very easy, so I just knew I could not commit to a long video game with boring combat. But I decided I needed to go back and play a Final Fantasy, a real one, not 15, which is the one that I beat prior, which was an action hack and slash Final Fantasy game. I wanted a turn-based Final Fantasy game, and 10 was recommended to me, and I played through 10. And this game fucks. Absolutely fucks. I think the combat is still mediocre, but the story in this game and the music in this game are absolutely astounding, and it took me completely by surprise that I fell in love with this. I always thought that this would never be a genre for me, and Final Fantasy X changed my mind massively, and it's crazy. Ever since then, I've played a lot more JRPGs because this game opened my brain to a whole new world out there. And I'll always have love for that aspect. So this is difficult. This is really hard for me. Final Fantasy X could easily get an S. Just because of the impact that it had on me, opening my brain to this genre that I now love dearly. The problem I have with putting it in S, though, is that it still has turn-based combat. And I just don't think turn-based combat is that good. So, I was along for the ride for the music, the story, the atmosphere, the presentation, even though it doesn't look great, still has a style and a flair to it. But that combat is really what's holding me back from giving it a very, very high score. I'm going to give it an A. I hate to give it an A. We might change that by the end of the video. But this is like 9.4. So it's like just the littlest bit away from getting my top honors. But I absolutely fucking love Final Fantasy X. Yes, it's a lovey-dovey story. Yeah, it's kind of shameful that I loved it as much as I did. But it fucking broke my heart. And I think about this game often to this day. It might get bumped by the end of this video. Honest to Christ. We'll see what happens, but for now we're going to leave it in A. Next up, Fight Night Champion. Another game from my youth that I very much enjoyed that I never beat as a kid, and we beat it as an adult. Fight Night Champion is great. I think Fight Night Champion might be the best Fight Night in the entire franchise. Very fun game, but it's a boxing game. So it's going to have the same issues that Blitz the League would have. You do the same thing over and over. You just box. And while the boxing in this game is very above average and very good, and visually this game stands up incredibly well, even in 2025, 2026. It's one of the best boxing games of all time, but it's not the best. You know, you can't compare it to Cult of the Lamb or Final Fantasy or Sekiro. It doesn't compare to those. So I'm going to give this game a B. It's the best boxing game I've ever played for sure, but that's not enough to get it into my top brass. Simple as that. If you haven't played it, play it. If you like boxing, you'll love this game. That's all I got for that. Then we moved on to, I believe, our highest viewed video of the year as far as after the credits goes, and that is 1997's Diablo, the original Diablo. I don't know what the hell possessed me to play this, but I decided I wanted to play through it and see where the origins of the isometric ARPG genre started. So we played through Diablo. And it's old. It's a fucking old game. Very old game, and it shows. It's basically how I want to put it. Combat is fucking boring. It is literally click everything and that's it. I mean, there's no other buttons in the game other than clicking shit. But it is very cool to see the origins of this genre. But I don't think there's any reason at all for you to go back and play Diablo 1 in modern day. I think if you're going to do that, go play Diablo 2 Resurrected. My intention was to play the original Diablo and then move on to Diablo 2 Resurrected. And I got so burnt out playing through the original Diablo that I could not stick with a character in Diablo 2. I just kept recycling, and Diablo 2 is a much better game than the original from what I can tell. This game killed it for me. I just couldn't go back. So still have every intention to go back to Diablo 2, but I'm still on a little bit of a hiatus from the genre from what this original game put me through. Nothing here worth going back and checking out, but for a historical standpoint's sake, I'm going to slot it into C tier. Wouldn't recommend it unless you're really interested in the history of video games. That's about it. Next up was a weird game that I played, recommended to me by my buddy Jake. This is Nubby's Number Factory, an indie game very similar to Peggle, where you shoot little balls down the screen, they bounce off other balls, you just build up score until you can pass the level and move on to the next stage. Simple game, but it was developed by one guy, indie developed, and I love indie developed games. And this game it does everything it's supposed to do right. All the sounds are very dopamine hitting. The graphics are fucking ugly, but that's intentional. The game is intended to be designed in a way that looks like old Java browser-based games that you would have played like on coolmathgames.com. And even though it looks like shit, it's charming in its own special and unique way. But the game is pretty shallow. So once again, looking at all the other games on the tier list up to this point, it's not going to get an incredibly high score. I am going to give it a C. I would still recommend this game, though, if you're looking for a quick experience that you could have fun with to pass the time. For example, if you have a Steam Deck, and this is only available on Steam, by the way, but if you have a Steam Deck and you have a plane flight that's like 2 hours, you could play this game for 2 hours straight and have a fucking ball. Are you going to go back to it after you land and go on your vacation? No, probably not. Could you enjoy it on the flight back? Probably, but then once you get back home, probably never going to think about it again. That's kind of my thoughts on Nubby's Number Factory. Cool game, fun little experience, but C's a solid spot for it. After Nubby's, we completed the first Berserker Kazan, and if any game on this list rivals the difficulty presented to me by Sekiro, it is this game. This game is hard as fuck, but I absolutely love this game's aesthetic. I think this game's aesthetic is even more appealing to me than Dark Souls aesthetics. It's got a very angel demon type of vibe going on with the story. And the visuals of this game are really top notch. I love the cell shading art style that they went for here. I love the different locations that you go throughout the game. And of course, I love a challenge, and this game kicked my fucking ass. I think it's arguable that Ozma, the final boss of this game, is harder than Ishin Ashina. I would say they're probably on the same tier, but I might give the edge to Ozma. This game is brutally hard, and it doesn't pull any punches. But I am a sucker for that kind of thing, so I'm going to give this game an A. It's right in line with Sekiro. I think it's comparable in a lot of ways. You have to be very parry-focused in Kazan. There's a bunch of different parry mechanics. It's very similar gameplay-wise to Sekiro. So they're very comparable. They're going to be in the same tier. I think they're both phenomenal. I think Kazan is phenomenal. But stay away from this game if you do not like a challenge. This game is... I mean, I've said it a billion times. This game is so hard, even if you use summons. Like, even if you use, like, the little summoning pools that usually makes Dark Souls games quite a bit easier, they're almost no fucking help in this game. And to the point that when you fight the final boss, there's a summoning pool there, And when you summon and you go in to fight the final boss, your summoning guy dies in 2 seconds. Flat. Like, it has no impact. So, brutal game, hard game, beautiful game, fun game, A tier, great spot. Moving right along here, God of War Ragnarok. Fuck it, it's my channel. I don't like these new God of War games. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna be honest. I love old God of War, the old games from the PS3, PS2, PSP era. That is my fucking Kratos. The Greek killing machine, not the Norse-Greek hybrid. I just don't like new Kratos. I'm sorry. Christopher Judge does a great job voice acting him. This is just not my fucking Kratos. I'm not a fan of the Atreyu tie-in. I know that the story is beautiful and everybody loves the father-son dynamic, and I got fucking roasted in my comment section for saying that the first game felt like an escort mission. That's just my fucking opinion, okay? I think that the escort mission fucking stuff is much better in Ragnarok since Atreus is older, so he's able to actually do more throughout the experience. But I just don't enjoy these games. It's just a personal opinion. It's an opinion. Simple as that. Everybody has them. Just like an asshole. But that doesn't mean you have to be an asshole because I have a different opinion than you. This game was weird for me. I would say majority of my playthrough I thought it was very average. And then I beat the game and the story wrapped up very beautifully. I would say it's set up for a potential third game with Atreus as the main character. I'd be interested to see if that happens, but I could live with never having a Norse Kratos again. I'm just saying. I'm going to give it a B. I gave this game a A in my initial review. I'm dropping it down. I don't give a fuck what you guys say. You're not going to bully me into giving it an A. Giving it a B. Fucking take it or leave it. Moving on. Next up, another throwback. We had Need for Speed Carbon. Got in the mood for a racing game, and this is a game that I never played. Played the hell out of Underground 2. I think we talked about Underground 2 in last year's video. Pretty sure we did. Anyways, Carbon was directly after Underground 2, I believe, and there's a lot of influence from that game into Carbon. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It's corny, it's cheesy, it's Need for Speed dialogue, it's 2000s, definition of 2000s. Goofy game, graphics don't look all that good nowadays, but I'm someone that can easily overlook that. So that didn't bother me. I thought the game was fun. Everything felt nice. Solid game, in my opinion. I'm gonna give it a B. I have no nostalgia for this. If I had nostalgia, I could definitely see it getting bumped up. But I think B is a solid place for it. I think it's a solid racer. No issues there. Next up, we had The Precinct. This is a game that immediately caught my attention. I've been dying for a police sim since the release of LSPDFR on GTA 4. If you know, you know. And this game was a top-down, much different than LSPDFR, but it looked like it was right up my alley. And it's a fun arcade cop game. With a story. I'm glad they implemented a story in this game, and it wasn't just a sandbox like Police Sim, or whatever that's called. I don't know what that game's called. Doesn't really matter. But they did have a story here. I thought the story was well done. There's not much you can do with a cop story. And they did what they could, and I thought it was solid. Very janky game, though. I gotta be honest. There's a lot of weird physics shit that happens in this game, just based on how the game was made. Honestly, it was more funny than annoying, so no impact to the rating for that. And ultimately, I think it's a fun game. I don't know if I'd recommend it to anybody. It's a very unique, niche game, but I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in B. And it's not good enough to get an A from me, and I don't think it's mid enough to get a C, but it's one of those weird ones that I don't know who I would recommend it to either. I just kind of liked it a lot. So, B. There we go. Next up, my favorite game of all time. Fire Obscure Expedition 33. Easiest S I will ever give. It makes the S's from last year look like bitches. Seriously. It's the best game I've ever played, hands down, no question about it. There will not be a game that is better than Expedition 33. This is the only game I would ever say is a 10 out of 10. Perfect experience. Seriously. I fucking love this game with every fiber of my being. I'm not even kidding. Like, this game got glazed like shit, and it deserved it. There's never been a glazed session more deserved than it was for Expedition 33. This game fucks unbelievably hard. Like, everybody should play this game. It's turn-based games. Shout out Final Fantasy X again for getting me onto the genre and not being afraid to play this game. But this game is fucking amazing. I got a flag back there from the game. I got a fucking poster right there from the game. I'm buying fucking anything Expedition 33 I can find. I fucking love this game. So let's back up and talk about it just a little bit. The best video game soundtrack to ever exist, without a fucking question. This game made turn-based combat fucking incredible with the ability to dodge and parry attacks, which I'd never seen before, but it made even the slow, boring combat that I experienced in Final Fantasy X into an absolutely enthralling and engaging experience. So it took that part that I didn't like and killed it. And then, on top of all of that, the game is 20 to 30 hours long. So it's not a fucking 2-hour long gauntlet of fucking story that's just gonna weigh you down for months as you're trying to beat the game. It does not overstay its welcome. It is flawlessly paced. The voice acting is incredible. The motion capture on the characters is fucking astounding. There is nothing about this game I would change. It is a 10 out of 10 for me, without a question. I cannot believe I found a game I would give a 10 to. Like, I would not take one fucking decimal point away from this game. Incredible. Don't even get me started on the fucking story. So many twists and turns there that I just can't in good conscience spoil for you. You have to play this. I've told my buddy Jason, who's going to be my co-host on a podcast, that he needs to fucking play this game. He bought it and hasn't even fucking played it. And I said, you need to play this fucking video game. He hasn't done it. Pisses me off. I told my buddy Jason with the Y, my other friend Jason, to play it. He bought it, played it for fucking 2 hours, and was getting his ass beat because he couldn't figure out the dodge timing and the parry timing, and then he fucking dropped it. I was like, dude, turn the fucking game down difficulty. Who cares? But you gotta fucking play the game. Didn't play it. Pissed me off. Anyways, long tangent out of the way. Easiest S I will ever give. There will never be a game better than Expedition 33. I'm an Expedition 33 simp. I have no problem saying it. I love it. It's fucking incredible. Let's move on before I come in my pants. Okay, after I beat Expedition 33, thought my year was ruined. Didn't think I'd like any game ever again, to be honest. That was how much I enjoyed it. So we played Sly 3, because I figured might as well finish that trilogy. So that's what we did. Sly 3 is mid. It's going to go in the C tier, right along its brother and its other brother. Also got C's. Nothing wrong with the game. Character action game from the PS2 era. That's it. Doesn't do anything extraordinary. I do like the fact that they used bosses from the prior 2 games as tie-ins to kind of reward and give the players of the franchise some fan service. But that's about all the kudos I can give it. I think it's very average. Not my favorite series of all time, but if you have nostalgia for Sly, you would probably put it higher. And I think that's totally fair. But as a blind playthrough in 2025, C's a solid spot for it. Next up, we played Atomic Heart. The reason I played Atomic Heart is because Atomic Heart 2 was revealed at Gamescom, I think, or something, and it looked fucking astounding, and I couldn't believe I missed the first game. So I played through Atomic Heart. This game took me by surprise. It was much more on the survival horror spectrum than the boomer shooter spectrum, and I thought I was going to be playing a boomer shooter based on the trailer. But it does get kind of boomer shootery towards the end. Wild story. Very strange. Gameplay was solid, but not what I expected, so that's kind of tough. But overall, it was an average experience for me. Gonna slot it in the C tier, along with all the other games that I've said are average, because this game felt pretty average. I will say I'm still relatively excited for Atomic Heart 2. I plan on playing it on release, probably, unless something else comes out. So I'm still invested in the franchise a little bit, but yeah, this was a weird one for me. I don't know. A lot of repetitive enemies. They only had like 4 different enemy types. 5. Well, that's not true. That's fucking not true at all. Well, not really not true. There's probably about 4 to 5 different unique basic enemies, and not including the bosses. I don't know. It just kind of seemed average to me. Nothing wrong with it, but what I will say is that this game is still $70. And yeah, I don't know what the fuck that's all about. I don't think it should be priced that high. But it was average. C tier, solid. After that, we moved on to Mafia, the Old Country. I was a big fan of Mafia 3. Might have been the only person in the history of mankind that played Mafia 3 on release and actually liked it. Game had some problems, had some bugs for sure, but I enjoyed my playthrough with that game quite a bit. So I went on a blacklist for the Old Country, didn't know anything about it before it released, had no idea they went fucking full-on knife mode combat with this game, which I kind of enjoyed, to be fair. I thought it was a cool change of pace. This game was kind of not great, though, I'm gonna be honest. Story was very predictable. Nothing crazy, and even though the knife combat was like the hype thing around this game, and I thought that was incredibly clunky, to say the least, when you were doing that knife combat. On top of that, the guns didn't feel very good, probably intentional because of the game being set in Italy back in the early days. But graphics were fantastic. I did have some performance issues that I recall sticking out here and there. I just don't think this game did anything spectacular. Could definitely go in the C, but I think D's looking a little lonely. I feel like that's fucking harsh. I'm gonna leave it there. Could be in C, but I just wanted to fill that hole, so just put it in D. I don't know if I'd recommend it to anybody. It didn't do much for me, so I don't know. We'll give it a D. Fuck it. Moving on. The original Final Fantasy was next on the Pixel Remaster version. Did not play the old school version. Played it on the Pixel Remaster. This game is very similar to the original Diablo. There is not much to talk about here. It's very straightforward JRPG. Doesn't really overstay its welcome, but it's also very repetitive, and I don't necessarily think the story is all that good. Or it's pretty dated, I would say. There's a nice little message at the end that kind of breaks the third wall a little bit, which is pretty unique for the time. But I don't think there's any point in playing it nowadays. So that being said, that's going to go right next to its brother in the C tier. Getting a boost for the history aspect. Seeing kind of where this franchise started and, then looking at the games that I have loved in the turn-based strategy, turn-based combat genre since then. That was cool. Really cool. So I'm going to give it a C just on history alone, but I wouldn't recommend it to probably anyone. Getting close to being done here, y'all. Next up, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. This game's way better than Mario Kart. I can say that with 100% certainty. I've played Mario Kart World a little bit, and I've got no interest at all. And I didn't feel that way playing Sonic Racing. I actually beat every circuit, rolled the credits, played some multiplayer. Game is very solid. It's your stock standard, straightforward kart racing game. Doesn't necessarily do anything to break that mold, but it is done phenomenally well. Controls feel great. All the power-ups are what you would expect. Very solid game. Mechanically, it works very well. That's all you can really ask for when you're asking about a kart racer. So that being said, I think a good spot for this is in the B tier. I'm happy with that being in the B tier, as we are a little bit big now on the screen. I'm probably in the way, huh? Remember that from last year, I was in the way. Fuck it. Anyways, B tier solid for that game. I think it's very good. Could easily go in A tier. It would trend up as opposed to down if you wanted to look at it that way. Solid game. I would recommend it if you're looking for a kart racer. Don't waste your money on Mario Kart World, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Opinions are like assholes. It doesn't mean you have to be, right? Let's move on. Next up, we're getting very close to the end of the year here, but we ended up playing through Ball Pit. This was a recommendation from my buddy from work, Jason. Jason. Absolutely phenomenal little brick breaker roguelike. Very sweet and fun. Great art style, dark aesthetic. I do not necessarily care for the base building. This thing tries to pull kind of a Cult of the Lamb on you. They have the brick breaking mode where you're kind of busting up enemies and progressively increasing in difficulty as you go down lower and lower in the pit. And then you have the surface level where you have a town builder system that you have to kind of manage. This didn't work the same way for me as Cult of the Lamb did. Cult of the Lamb was both elements were great. I never really liked the town building in Ball Pit. I'm just going to keep it 100% with you. But I thought that the battling was a lot of fun. The creativity for the character roster in this game was astounding. They had some really wacky character designs that I thought were really incredible and very creative. Also made by a very small team, which you got to give credit to as well. That being said, I'm going to give Ball Pit a B. I can't put it in the same tier as Cult of the Lamb because I feel like that's a similar game that does both of those aspects better. I mean, it's hard to compare the combat sections of Cult of the Lamb to the combat sections in Ball Pit since they are so widely different. The town building portions you can sort of compare, and I just didn't like it as much. So that's going to knock it down a little bit. I think B is a solid spot for it. I think I reviewed it as an A in the review, so it got a little bit of a hit. But when I'm looking at what I played last year, I don't think it belongs in the same category as Cult of the Lamb. Just keeping it 100% with you. Next up was the last main game of the year. There's 3 more games after this. The next 2 after the one we're going to talk about are really quick hitters. But Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Yotei! I don't know why I did that. A downgrade in almost every aspect to Ghost of Tsushima, which is a game that I absolutely adored from last year's recap review. It's basically Ghost of Tsushima with a much less interesting story, and the main innovation here was that they added different weapons as opposed to just having a katana, but the combat is still rock, paper, scissory, except instead of selecting what specific stance you need, you select what specific weapon will deal more stagger damage. So the combat's identical. I thought the open world itself was a lot less engaging, I guess. There wasn't as many patrols out there that you could constantly get in skirmishes with. And it's just a lesser game than the original. So that's definitely going to hurt its score. The one thing I will say to this game's credit is that the attention to detail was out of this world. The game visually is incredibly striking. It's a wallpaper generator for a reason. You could pretty much post up anywhere, pull out that camera feature and snap a photo, and you're going to get a beautiful scenic view and all of that. So that stuff is really cool, but I just wasn't feeling the plot, which is a massive problem for me. So I'm going to give it a B. It's getting a massive boost from the visuals here, and I can't in good faith put it in C because I think if you play this game without the context of Tsushima, I think you would enjoy it. It's just Tsushima is such a better game. In Tsushima, got an A last year from me. So there's no way I could put it in the same category. But just based on the visuals, the attention to detail, the scope of the game, it's going to get a B. I could easily put it in C personally, but I'm not going to. I don't know. I just feel like I can't. So it's going in B. Fuck Atsu. Bring back Jin Sakai. Let's move on. 2 games left. We're wrapping up here. Next one, Slots and Daggers. Indie game. A slot-based roguelike that is visually absolutely beautiful. The sound design, absolutely incredible, and fills your brain with dopamine when you get a coin or chip dump. Really fun. Problem I have with this game is it's incredibly abusable. There's one weapon that you can use for the playthrough and you will shit on the game. And it's easy to figure out which weapon that is. So the game is incredibly breakable, which seems like it would be fun. The problem is there's no real gameplay here. You're just clicking a stop on a slot machine, and that's it. There's no mechanics, so it doesn't actually feel all that good to break the game, even though you think it would. That being said, I'm going to give this game a C. It's very similar to Nubby's Number Factory. It's one of those, yes, you can get some enjoyment out of it. Yes, it's heavily discounted, so you can get it relatively cheaply, but is it like, it's not going to fucking change your world, and once you get done with it, you're going to be done with it. You're not going to want to go back to it because you can beat it every run after that. You can go and do the same build, shit on the game, and then what the hell's fun in that? There isn't one. There isn't any, if you ask me, so it's going in the C tier. That's fine. All right, time to talk about the last game of the year, and that was Skate Story. This is an incredibly interesting game made by one developer again. I love that. And I think this game is solid. It's a arcade skateboarding game that takes place in hell. He plays a demon that goes and tries to eat all of the moons in hell, basically. It's got the weirdest story of all time, but mechanically the game is very fun. It's just a very solid skateboarding game. The controls are tight, which is really important for a skateboarding game. It's got all of skate culture infused into this game in a way that we haven't seen in a long time from a skateboarding video game. But that story is fucking cuckoo, brother. Absolutely cuckoo. But I think it's a solid game. I mean, I told my buddy Jason to play it to kind of... I really told him to play it because I wanted him to give me his opinions on it, because I wasn't sure how to feel about it. But I know some people love it. I don't know if I loved it. I don't think I would play it again. So it's right between B and I'm going to give it a C. I got to give it a C. That's just where it has to go for me. I think the game is really cool, though. I want to keep that very upfront with you. I think the game is very cool. I like what it does. I love the art style. Again, I love the setting. Just didn't do much for me personally. So that's where it's going to go. All right, guys, and that is it. Our final tier list of the year. Recapping this year, and I think it looks phenomenal. I'm very happy with this list. Let me know what you would change down below. And of course, this is the end of the year video. Let me know what your favorite after the credits video was, or your favorite content from my channel. I would love to know that. We've done a lot this year. It's been an incredible year of content creation for me. I have loved it as I did the year prior. I can't wait to continue and do some more creative stuff in the years to come. That's about it, I think. I do want to mention one last thing. I'm going to make it official right here in this video. We do have a podcast I am starting with my buddy Jason, my coworker from work, and that is going to be on a separate YouTube channel. You can go there now and subscribe. I would appreciate it. That channel is called Spawn Point Network. We'll leave a link down below in the description if you want to head over there and subscribe preemptively to that. I would appreciate it. We are getting very close to narrowing down the details on getting that project started. We've got a format kind of established. So it'll be coming sooner rather than later, I would have to expect. But yeah, if you want to go over there and check that out, I would be very appreciative. I think it's going to be a fun project, something I'm very excited to do. It's not going to change the content on the main channel at all, I don't believe. But we'll see. Something new, a new venture for me, something I'm excited to start doing. And I think it'll be a lot of fun talking about a lot of weird stuff. So go over there, check it out. I appreciate it. But other than that, that's it. Once again, thank you all so much for all the support this year. Couldn't have done it without you guys. And I can't wait to see what comes in 2026. As always, I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Make sure to tell someone you love them today. It could change their life. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.